Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. Again, it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans.
What up,
they
what up?
Young people. And
fuck this guy. What up?
JD, in all fairness, JD, and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people. And
fuck this guy.
What up? JD, in all fairness, JD, and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look.
All right. Yeah, sorry guys, I was testing the mic there. There seems to be a slight lag. Anyway, welcome to the very first Jake Jones Live podcast. This is a very exciting moment in history. Not this shit. This is like background noise. This is like just this is what you would call this is what you refer to as like furniture music or whatever. Back in the day, they would have a piece of music or some other distraction going on in the background. It's background noise. Yeah, we've got another election 2024, and well, actually, with these two candidates, still no erection. Still no erection. Sad. Anyway.
Is have to travel to another state, to get on a plane sitting next to strangers, to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every
Are you okay? We're not. I'm sitting this one out, bro. If they're gonna pull out the old AB card again, I'm just done. I'm done. I've talked about it in my set. I've talked about it publicly. I'm done. We've been talking about. It's over. It's fucking over. You fucking retards. You didn't do anything to stop the overturn. You did nothing. You didn't do a damn thing to protect so-called women's rights. So my only conclusion is that nobody gives a fuck. So why are we arguing about it? I wish I could skip this. I really do. Wait, live. Maybe I can. Oh, fuck yes, thank God.
This past June, President Biden imposed tough new
Thank God. That wasn't actually live. I was lagging
significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election?
This guy ate Kamala out before the debate, I guarantee you.
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations,
transnational
drugs, and human beings.
That's
Let me say,
transphobic,
the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to
Let me know how the
stop
volume is, by the
fentanyl
way.
coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching.
I'm probably gonna get a copyright for this. I don't even.
By the surge of fentanyl in our
We're,
country.
who cares?
That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I
What the hell is this, dude?
President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Like the attacks, like I'm sick. Where's the policy? Where's the policy substance? Where is it? Where is it?
People start leaving. People don't go to her.
It's like trying to find the Easter eggs.
And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies.
God, she's doing the fucking Hillary mannerisms. It's. Oh God, this is so cringe.
We're a failing nation, and it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going
This is
on,
torture.
we can end up in World War
I'm torturing myself for nothing.
They have done to our country.
You're welcome.
These millions and millions of people that
Prego.
come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. Not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening.
This is like literally.
It's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase. Make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success,
By the way,
it'll end up being Venezuela
Zero
on steroids.
alcohol.
I just want to clarify here, you bring up Springfield,
Yeah.
Ohio, and
Self-improvement. That's what this brand is
There
about.
were no credible reports of specific claims of
You hear that, you cunts?
injured or abused by individuals.
Back in dwindle tits.
I've seen people on television.
Let me just say, this is
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the
say
city
the
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already,
Okay. just gonna make sure we get this this live stream up and going, up and running. Let's get Twitter. Let's get it going. Oh yeah, I'm on Twitter, by the way. I have a Twitter. It's weird. We live. I'm new to this. I rarely fucking tweet anymore. Just don't care. It's over. You know, the whole thing is over. The channel, by the way, my original channel
And when we
is fucking over too. It's got 2 strikes for making fun of this jackass on the left. You know, what happened to free speech? I don't know. We're gonna see though. We'll see. Because the goal is to get, that's why I have a backup. The goal is to get it back on track, and might have to wait it out, crank out the content on this end, and we're just gonna take it one step at a time.
It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal.
I don't care about any of this, by the way. In case you haven't noticed, I'm done with this country and its stupid fucking circular arguments that go nowhere. Like immigration, again, we haven't solved this yet, guys. Oh, it's like been it's been longer. It's been how many years? We've been arguing about the same fucking issues. Abortion, even longer. I mean, it's tiresome. We can't just simply agree to leave people alone. No, that would be too simple. That'd be way too fucking simple, and too many simpletons and too many fucking idiots would be out of a job. They need to actually be told how to oppress their neighbors just so they can feel like they're doing something important. Tell me if I'm wrong.
They've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country.
To her, yeah, they gave the criminals to Kamala.
And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it. Because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
Dude, this is like 2016 all over again.
Rich.
This is 2016, like,
prosecuted for
Kamala's gaslighting now. She's literally like if Hillary and Obama had a baby.
libel for sexual assault, and
She's like a fucking cross.
Court appearance is in November.
A cross,
sentencing. And let's be clear.
what do you call it? It's like a cross episode.
Dude. What is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement? The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted.
How are you going to do that?
Playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me.
But how are you going to do that?
Was started by them against their political opponents.
I'm done arguing. This is abuse. This is parental abuse. That's what this debate is. It's what it's always been, but never more clearly. than now.
Weaponization never happened in this country.
This is gaslighting. This is like literally just. This is just like. It's insanity.
To the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases, and then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election.
I don't know. Look, from an optics perspective, I don't know why Dump keeps piling on the orange makeup. I don't understand why. You know, like Cum Dumpster here on the right, she at least has like a natural skin tone, and this guy just insists on being the same. I wish he would shave his head. He'd lose the toupee, fucking grow a beard if he can, and like, dude, just play it up. Just be a fucking badass. Like what is this fucking limp dick, fucking Trump that we've got? I mean, like, you just got shot.
Disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails. Because certainly we know now the court won't stop.
Yeah, he's too old, man.
He's
too
up to
old.
the American people
Vice
to
President
stop
Harris,
him.
thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president,
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about,
I don't know what you heard about me.
they're the threat to democracy.
He's doing a 50 Cent, bro. He's doing the 50 Cent.
That went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for.
They should have had 50 Cent host the debate. He would have actually been a good moderator.
Border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every.
You never had any to begin with.
But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States, and in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history, because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid, raised by a hard-working mother, who worked and saved, and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors
Are
from
we
scams.
protecting black people from marijuana by throwing them in jail?
Is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling.
I believe it's beating people up. I
I
believe that's the expression, but that wouldn't sound well. It just sounds worse.
That president.
President Trump,
Well, first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up. Very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let...
Did you just try to mansplain Kamala?
She went out and raised money to get him out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical...
Oh! That is a bar!
And she will never allow fracking.
Dude, that's like some fucking Dude, no, we gotta play that back. We gotta play that back. That's a highlight. That's a highlight for shizzle, my nizzle.
Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
I like that deflection
She went
too.
out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. That would do this. And she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election,
He just won the election. No, he just won. He won because of that bar alone. I mean, he's kind of already won. I mean, people are saying he's gonna win. I don't know. I don't give a shit. But like that was a bar, dude. Transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison. That sounds like a very lengthy and very niche porn title.
4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead, we'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar. But they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil. These are not good things for the environment.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of the president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I asked, why?
Yeah, when it's one of your supporters, then it's okay.
That she allowed to pour in. She was the border czar, remember that.
When it's one of your supporters, then you know what I'm saying, man. We need an Ashley Babbitt movie. I had my George Floyd idea just because it was more like offensive to libtards, but an Ashley Babbitt movie. That might actually be even more suspenseful. I'll think about it.
All over the world, And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
When are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle, they took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes.
You see, the problem with Trump's argument here is, shut up. The problem with Trump's argument here is he's talking out of two mouths. He, on one hand, he wants the states to be able to handle the issues, and then on the other, he's like, why don't we prosecute people who take over the state governments? Well, those are state governments. Those, according to your philosophy when it comes to abortion, those should not be under the watch of the federal government. So it's very convenient that you frame one argument one way and another argument the other, and they both do it, and it's unbearable, and it's toxic, and it's the reason. And no RFK, he bent the knee, he cucked out, and now so there's not even like a third voice, there's not even like a middle ground or anything.
But I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day,
She's doing better than I expected, by the way.
incited a violent mob.
She's holding her own in this debate so far. Not gonna jinx it.
To desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president at the time say?
Dude, all she had to do to get my vote, Trump at least has the free Ross thing, which was, by the way, based. The most based thing on his platform. I mean, he could have done it 4 years ago, he didn't, so, that's up for discussion, but all Kamala had to do was say, fuck Israel, and she can't even do that! She can't even do the bare minimum of differentiating herself from the competition, because they're the same fucking monster.
To stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this outcome of this election is not to his liking.
You're not going to win. Come downstairs. I'm sorry.
Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the
Come
future.
on, you're not going to win.
And not go backwards to the past.
You know why she's not going to win? This is what I'm... If she does win, I'm not, I'm sure a lot of maggots are gonna consider their gun safety rules. However, I just don't see America being quote unquote ready. But will they ever be? Will they ever be ready for a woman to quote unquote lead? If that's even possible. I don't think it is. In reality, I've seen enough evidence. Now there are countries where women are heads of state, and they do their own thing there, and so you have to ask those people how it's working out for them. So I'm not against it in theory, but it's always like, oh, we're not ready. Oh, not this one, not this one. Like, dude, well, here's the thing: who are you gonna get? Who's better? There's never gonna be a right time.
Afternoon, you say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed. Those people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you, because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short. Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
I don't acknowledge it at all. I said that sarcastically, you know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls.
I'm getting fucking, oh shit. I'm getting Democratic spam on my phone, by
elections
the way.
are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants.
Because I'm technically still registered with them. I gotta undo that. If possible. I don't think it's possible. I don't think anything's possible anymore.
Come into our country.
I did watch all these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker, we didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here, it's
Still got it.
you and your knowledge, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them.
No judge looked at it.
And said
They
there
said
was
we
no
didn't have
election.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The President of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you do a special on it, I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the President there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker, so he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us, we won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom work with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way,
I mean, he gets along with Putin pretty well, and Kim Jong-un.
over and over again, our court cases, you
Just saying, those are two pretty big ones.
in fact lose that.
Probably the only ones that fucking matter at this point, except for China, Saudi Arabia. I don't know, dude.
Or
That's as far as my grasp on global politics can get.
American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Victor
Dude, he's gotta come out with the jokes, bro. He's
He's a tough person. Smart. Prime Minister of Hungary.
all he has to say is "Globo homo,"
3 years ago.
and it's over.
Why is it blowing up?
Do victory laps.
You need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country. He ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban
matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected, Israel must do more to
Are we
protect
almost done?
civilians. You said that
Because
9 months ago.
I don't think I'm going to edit this.
3,000
I don't care about it. Just the beginning and the end. And then y'all can skip, maybe add a chapter every now and then.
There's not a deal in the making. President
The
Biden
purpose of this
said-
video is literally just to test out the algorithm, to test out the live streaming on my channel so that I can snowball it from there and build, basically rebuild everything. The entire infrastructure. It's got to go. It has to be just revamped.
And so absolutely, I said then, I say now. Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and independence for the Palestinians.
Okay, that works.
But the one thing
I'm just checking to make sure
I
my
will
mic
always-
works.
I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself.
I will always give Israel the upper hand. I will always give Israel sloppy toppy because they're funding my campaign. And the Palestinians can kick rocks.
Where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up. Far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel.
That's it. I'm voting for Kamala now. That's it.
Population.
If I so wish this was true. I so wish this was true.
Israel will be gone.
Dude, Trump just endorses Kamala Harris for president. Israel's gonna be gone. You fucking dummy. You fucking eraser head dipshit.
Spheres of terror, and they are spheres of terror, horrible terror.
Terror.
It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
What does this have to do with the average Joe scraping together some chump change for his kids? What does this have to do with nothing? They don't care. I feel like bringing the ghost of George Carlin out here and summoning him. They don't care about you. Like, highlight it. Like, it's like, I think most Americans, I think at least over half of them understand this deep down, even if they don't want to admit it.
Can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the important...
I hope you're enjoying this live commentary, by the way, because I'm not. Not one effing bit.
That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins, and I think he meant it. Because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak.
Oh, so Putin switched teams now? Damn.
Grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest
Putin
pipeline?
wants some of that Kamala booty. Putin wants some of that ass.
And they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way, gets paid a lot of money.
She wants, I believe the throat is her specialty, though.
Presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Insipid waste of valuable resources and airwaves. Like, I could feel the vibes. Like, you guys, I don't know if you guys are like into that law of vibration shit, but like the vibes on this beast, like, I mean, just feels kind of dead. It feels like the end of an empire. It feels like, no, I feel like we've kind of had the end of the empire. We slept through it, and now this is like the funeral. You know? I don't know. Because it's like, dude, it's like they're not even hiding it. They're not even hiding the fact that they're both Israeli puppets. They both freely admit it, and they're trying to compete over who loves Israel the most. But what do they say about America? Hardly a word about the American people. Hardly a word about the voters. It's just, they've been gaslighting you for so long that now it's just like, it's like we're just going to put on a show. We're just going to like, we're just stooges and we don't care.
Question. Should Democrats supply them?
I hope PBS doesn't have the balls to copyright strike me. I chose PBS for that very reason, just so I can, like, you know, just on the off chance that they are actually still public. I don't know if they ever were, but I like PBS, by the way. I actually really like PBS. They're the closest thing we have to real television, to real to like real educational television. Everything else is just it's just like garbage, fluff, celebrity bullshit. You guys got any questions or like money? Let me know. Because like I plan on doing this consistently, on a consistent basis. Because what else am I gonna do, man? I made show business. What else have I got to do? You know? Specials being worked on. I'm not even sure if I want to do it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You know, like I got jokes, and I've got an album on the way. You know, but why not just do this? You make people laugh the same way. You don't need a stage and a mic. You don't need a Netflix special. You don't need any of that anymore. It's fucking stupid, ego-driven horse shit. And it's not comedy. Most of the time, it's not even funny. trying to think the last stand-up special that even made me chuckle. Oh yeah, I like Marlon Wayans' last stand-up special. That was a good one. I liked his cadence. Let me think, what else? I don't watch a lot of stand-up anymore because after I made it, it's not that I'm like too good to improve or anything like that, because I'm not. But there's just so much more to life. That was the conclusion that I arrived at least for now. I'm 26, so, you know, hopefully I've got some time left in the hourglass. Uh-oh. We still going? Are we still... Fuck! Are we still going? Are we good? No, we're good. Who cares? This is just gonna go up anyway. I don't care. It's gonna go up raw. Whatever. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm just chilling. This is me. Anyone cares? This is me. Okay. Be back. I'll be back.
And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers.
They should be so lucky I'm actually watching this piece of shit fucking debacle. It's not a debate, it's a debacle.
Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe, like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 200.
Am I just going to endure until the end?
They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call 2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try to get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone.
There's no ideas. There's no ideas being spoke here. which isn't surprising at this point, but no healthcare platform, none, zero. Zero policy from either party that's actually going to those parties want, respectively. This is like watching a confused old man and his fucking nurse have an argument.
Your time is up. Just to clarify the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best?
And yeah, improvement over Biden, I would fucking say so.
Just get it done. Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Oh, I think, nice question. I think we know how she would deal with Putin.
Running against me. I believe the reason that Donald
Putting
Trump
that
said
dick in my
it
mouth.
would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are
Oh,
as
he would give it
Americans.
up.
Let's understand what happened here. I
think you would
met
give
with
it up.
Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried
And then this guy on the left got shot in the ear. Nicked in the ear.
Which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support,
Nothing righteous about Ukraine. Ukraine is where you go to have a good time. That's where our soldiers. That's where NATO goes to party and have pool parties, literally.
right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted to respond to something you said earlier. Now, please.
This is lame as fuck. This is lame as fuck.
Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow, quiet place. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that.
I hope he does. Fuck it. Yeah, Putin. Yeah, Putin, you want to fuck it. I
To
don't know,
negotiate
dude.
peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been
Oh, wow,
about
nice
standing
dodge.
as America always should, as a leader upholding international
That doesn't
rules
look good.
and norms.
That doesn't
As
look
a
good.
leader who
You didn't
shows
answer the question.
strength,
That's a clear
understanding that
evasive
the alliances
tactic.
we have around the world are dependent
The first one I've
on our
noticed. I'm sure there have been
ability to
others,
look out for
but
our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake
No,
here.
no,
The President of the United States is committed.
bitch, you're supposed to answer the question that's been posed to you, not give your canned, pre-rehearsed speech. That's what a debate actually is, you know? We've lost all semblance of that.
Ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to
Yo.
Afghanistan.
Said Trump did the most amazing
No,
thing I've ever
like,
seen.
dude, you gotta
these countries,
reassert
28
yourself.
countries
You gotta
in
ask the question
NATO.
again.
He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've
She
never
can't
seen
answer a
for
fucking
years,
question,
too,
honestly.
almost all of
That was a classic example, by the way, of a woman,
on trade and on NATO.
the weakness, not being able to properly answer a fucking question. A simple question, by the way. Did you meet Vladimir Putin? Yes or no? Hammer that! Hammer that! You're the fucking moderator. Shame on you. You're the moderator, jackass. Did you meet with Putin? Yes or no? Yes or no? It's a yes or no fucking answer. It's over. It's over. This bitch is retarded. This bitch is retarded.
Four presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat
Trump
zone
looks
in
like he's
any
sitting
war
in the
zone
waiting
around
room
the first time
at the doctor's office.
Let's
He looks like he's ready to just check out. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there, bro. I'm on his side now, bro. I having to endure this fucking wretch, this mess.
And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this. And
Oh no, get this. You're really gonna like this.
invited the Taliban to
No one
Camp
cares.
David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be Commander-in-Chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the
Yeah,
negotiations
thank
with
you.
the Taliban.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months,
Shit.
we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement
That's some
negotiated by
gangster
Mike
shit.
Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than that, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent.
I mean, I wish we withdraw from everywhere. Can we withdraw from everywhere? I mean, the way it was done, probably, if we just left our shit there, that really doesn't even make sense. But it does if you study American history, recent American history, and how we're just essentially arms dealers to the entire world. So really, that's all that was. It was just a transparent arms deal. That's what that was.
I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I don't
asking.
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has.
Did she get
consistently
Did she sneak a little?
his career.
She sneak a little shot under that
To
podium?
divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just
Manipulative tactic. Manipulative woman tactic is. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe he made a good and solid point. I just can't believe it. It's over. Oh, it's over, man. It's over. The facade has crumbled.
to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this.
I don't think the American people give a shit about any of this. I think they want to know what you're going to do for them, not what they're going to do for your fat ass for a change.
Each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me,
Can we just be nice? Can we just be as nice?
how we're going to invest in the aspirations.
Dude, we're literally
of the
built on
anti-Jesus
genocide.
brain.
Shut the fuck up, you stupid
Know that
cunt.
regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who
We really
invests in
don't.
those
We really
who
don't,
hate and
Kamala.
division.
We really don't.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies.
We're like watching two retards
Remember this.
pretend to be smart.
She is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Time's up.
I want to respond to that. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible.
And that's about it.
Brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people.
Oh,
I
wow.
believe in what we
Oh,
can
wow.
do
She's got
to
nothing. All air balls
strengthen our
now,
small
man.
businesses, which is why I have
Cotton
a plan.
candy
Let's talk
arguments.
about our plans.
Cotton candy,
And let's compare the
sunflowers,
plans. I have a
rainbows.
plan to give
Oh,
startup
dude.
businesses
The fucking
$50,000
Vicodin. Dude, when the Vicodin just hits you, when the Vicodin just hits your spinal cord. It's so nice.
young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight.
One policy. The first policy position in this debate.
Turn the page.
We found it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's turn to policy, please.
Blue Pill has presented the first policy argument, it probably the last in this whole fucking shenanigan. The $25,000 first-time home buyers proposal. That's it. That's all you get, and you're probably not even gonna get that.
Your third time running for president, you have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
It's literally free Ross versus $25,000, which is a pithy amount of money anyway. I mean, it's not something to shake your head at, but in this economy, I think Ross is worth it. Ross is worth it. Sorry.
They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017,
Why not
you
now?
supported Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan
Kick the
that
fucking
included
can down the road,
insurance
huh?
option.
Great strategy,
What is the plan
Donald.
today?
Great fucking
First of all, I
strategy.
absolutely support and over the last.
This is just- this
Vice
is-
President, private healthcare options. What
I
we
hate
need to do
this.
is maintain
I hate
and grow the
this.
Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point.
I'm done,
that
dude.
the former
I'm moving.
president made.
I'm moving to
I made very
Europe.
clear my position
It's
on
over.
fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act,
That was a good jab.
Just look
That was
at
a
the
good jab.
history to know where people stand.
Whether it's true or not, it's a
Trump
good
was
job.
president. 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said.
To be fair, I disparaged John McCain as well. Fuck John McCain.
I will never forget that night. Walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell people watching tonight, you remember what that was like?
Yeah, but they'll charge them, but they'll throw them in debt anyway. So how is that helping? You almost wish you'd be denied. You'd have more fucking dignity.
As I've been vice president and
than laying in a fucking $250,000 hospital bed. Your family can't even afford to pay for the funeral. They can't even afford a fucking coffin.
You, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it, pass this prologue in terms of where Donald Trump stands.
That is the best argument.
That's important for a
You
lot
made a
of
mistake.
For that.
And number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters. And
I think we should stay on topic. We should stay on the healthcare topic because this is the issue. This is the issue of our time. This is the issue because this is the number one thing that Americans care about. I mean, not really, but the thing that they should care about because it is the thing that most affects our lives. Is our health care. And it's not from the government. I'm a big believer in alternative medicine and all this and but hello. But no, they should have spent more time on that. That was the best part of the debate. And I like both of their points on that actually. But I think Kamala won that exchange.
America cared deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Very good. More of that. More of that energy from Kamala. More of that.
It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico.
Where's Donald going? He's a doom and gloom. No,
building
bad,
massive plants, and they think they're
worst ever
into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put.
He's got to quit it with the attacks, man. If you're going to attack your opponent, at least have jokes. That's a good rule of thumb. If you're going to do it negative attacks, make it funny. But don't be like, oh, she's the worst, poopy,
Refuse. Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly Supposedly, China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it.
He's spinning his wheels here. Because what Trump should be doing, he needs a vision. He needs a vision for the country. He needs to present a platform. A platform! You know? Something that's going to inspire people to come out and vote for you. I mean, if you think getting nicked in the ear by some fucking psyop clown is enough to win the election, go for it. Take that risk. You might get it. You're probably going to win. I don't know. We'll see with the electoral jack-off college. That was good. That second half was way better than the first half.
This is Sam. How may I help you?
It still was mostly shitty, but toward the end, they at least had some substance.
You get nationwide coverage with no contract. That's kind of our thing. Have a nice day.
And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. Asking tough questions to those in power. Should Democrats
Fuck this.
Has you outmanned, outgunned? Is it time to think about the settlement?
and covering events as they unfold.
8 soldiers died in the second deadliest attack on Israeli forces of the war.
See so many dead in one place in 20 minutes.
PBS NewsHour and PBS News Weekend every night on PBS and streaming.
No cameras, no witnesses.
That's convenient.
I'd love you to tell me.
4 simple questions.
Why? Where?
You love this, look at this.
The stakes have been raised.
Any other theories?
Definitely. Like everything.
Welcome to the Uncle Howard Delta. This is nature at its absolute finest. This is crazy. This is impossible.
It's powerful. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You can't have the United States without the histories of all of these Latino communities.
Connection to your culture is so important.
I move and feel in my traditions and my stories.
We live without respect and loyalty.
We have changed U.S. history.
We cover all the angles. We report the facts. We find clarity. PBS is here, delivering the credible, reliable, thoughtful election coverage you need to make informed decisions. PBS, your trusted election source.
Live from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back to Michael Times, a couple of closing statements and Harris.
I think it would be hilarious if Trump won just because he got shot at, though. I think that would be,
Any other that is focused on the past?
you know, that would be like, honestly, that kind of be like almost a democratic revolutionary type
I
thing.
believe that the American people know we all have so much.
You know, it's almost like order versus
We can
chaos.
chart a
It's one way
forward.
to look at it.
And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting.
Put your
seniors,
hands down.
What we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together.
It's
That is
over.
about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
By the way,
I will be a president that will protect.
I'm done
our
voting
rights,
in these elections,
including the right of a woman
so this is like my
to
act of public
her own
service.
body and not have her government.
It ain't
what to
much,
do.
but it's hard
I'll
work.
tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people.
I used
And I'll tell you,
free
as a
prison labor.
prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay?
That would be hilarious if you did.
And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris,
Thanks,
thank you.
Obama.
President Trump.
So you just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like, we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC
Damn, the
News
sky is falling. The sky is falling, Chicken Little.
Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir.
It's like a fucking soothsayer over here. Trump. Damn. All right, well, that was retarded.
And that at the end of
Final thoughts. I think I about said all that needed to be said. Well, that's about it then. Oh shit! What up? Just reading my comments. Alright. Yeah, Jake Jones, we out. We about. Who won the debate though? Who won the debate? I don't think anybody won. I really don't. I don't think anybody won. They all suck. Everybody in that room sucks cock. They suck donkey balls. Donald doesn't have a vision. That's his problem. He's a ranting old man. He's your typical neocon at this point who sucks Israel's cock and says we're not strong enough. We're not strong enough. We're not strong enough. You know. And Kamala, she's fucking this manipulative sociopath. To be fair, so I don't see a winner here. I don't see a clear winner. I don't think getting your ear nicked is a valid reason to vote for somebody, nor is having a ran through vagina a valid reason to vote for somebody. So it really there's no winner. I hate it. I just hate it. Fuck this country. Fuck this election. That's comedy. That's entertainment. And with that, I bid y'all a good evening.